Hello Sunshine Fam, and welcome back to another Presidential Highlights video. My name is Chloe, so if you are new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button below and the notification bell so that you are notified when I upload a new video. If you're new to the series, I encourage you to go back to the beginning of this Presidential Highlights series and watch it from the beginning, or just watch whatever president that you want to know about. What I do is I do the key events of what happened in this country during the president's time in office. So I don't cover their entire life from birth to death, unless, of course, the president died while in office, like in the case of Lincoln. Just as an example. So today we are on President number 41, who was George H.W. Bush, or George Bush Sr. He served from 1989 to 1993. Now today I do have a special guest with me. I have Silver Star. She is my daughter. She's helping me with the videotaping today. So George H.W. Bush's vice president was Dan Quail. Here's a picture of George Sr., if you can see that. And so she's going to be kind of my camera person today. A little bit. You didn't know that?
No, we didn't discuss that before the video.
Well, we're gonna do. This is obviously going to be an edited video. Today's video is going to be a little bit more interesting because I am going to be having an interview through with a friend of mine that lives in Illinois, that actually attended or was part of a couple of the key events that happened in Bush Sr.'s time in office. So that is, I still have to do the interview with him as I'm recording this, but it will be included in this video. So we'll be breaking this up into an edited video. So once we get to that point, we're going to stop the video, do the interview, stop the video, do more, stop the video again, do the second part of the interview, and then do the last part, so that I make sure that I get it all in sequential order.
Did you clear this with him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so starting in 1989, January 20th, Bush was inaugurated. Nothing out of the ordinary for that inauguration. February 6th, the bank bailout plan was introduced. In a White House press conference, the bailout plan was for troubled savings and loans banks. And what was in the plan was to sell $50 billion in government bonds to finance it. And it was to give the Federal Deposit Insurance Corp, or the FDIC, which I'm sure you've seen that at your bank, the little sign that says FDIC. Yep, Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, regulatory oversight to see the plan go through. March 14th, the semi-automatic rifle ban. We were talking about this today.
I don't know how that subject even came up.
The federal drug czar, William Bennett, urges the Bush administration, to temporarily ban imports of semi-automatic rifles. Bush earlier said no such ban would be enacted. March 24th, Exxon Valdez oil spill. I'm sure you probably have heard about that.
The BP oil spill?
No, Exxon.
I don't remember hearing about that.
It was the worst oil spill on American territory. The Valdez oil tanker ran aground in the southeast of Alaska, and it dumped 240,000 barrels of oil and caused a major environmental damage. Not unlike the more recent BP oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico, I believe it was. We'll get to that in a different president. April 17th, Bush offers Poland assistance. Poland, to this point, was communist. So the Polish government agreed to negotiate with oppositional Solidarity Party for free elections, and at this point it was the first election held, and it was held in August of that year. June 4th, the Tiananmen Square massacre. The Chinese government People's Liberation Army used tanks and armored cars to thwart a pro-democracy movement in Beijing in Tiananmen Square. Approximately 700 to 2,700 demonstrators were killed. Depends on who you asked, I guess, at that time, because that's quite a difference in the numbers. June 5th, Bush condemns China's actions. President announces that the actions, including suspending... Okay. President announces... I think I meant to put denounces the actions. Or no. I'm sorry. I'm getting all goofed up here. The president announces his actions, including suspending the sale of American weapons to China because of the Tiananmen Square massacre. Or as some people that I know say, massacre. Schrader. August 9th.
Schrader, you're insane.
He doesn't even watch these videos anyway. August 9th, the bailout plan was revised. The president signs into law the new Financial Institutions Reform, Recovery, and Enforcement Act. Instead of selling the bonds, $166 billion worth of aid was sent to the Savings and Loan, or SNL. S&L, not SNL. The new government body, the Resolution Trust Company, oversees the merger and liquidation of troubled banks. Okay, now I'm going to need you to go over there. I'll let you know when to turn it up. Okay, so November 9th, 1989, the Berlin Wall falls. Okay, so if you remember in my Reagan video, he went over to Berlin to demand that the Berlin Wall get taken down. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, if you remember that. I hope to be able to put a video in my description, which I really hope that you guys are reading my descriptions now, of the actual video of when the Berlin Wall fell. East Germany fully opened its borders. The wall was erected in 1961, symbolizing differences between communism and democracy. It marks the end of the Cold War. Earlier in 1989, Hungary and Austria opened their border. Now at this point, we're going to do the first part of the interview with my friend in Illinois. So we'll be right back. Okay, so on the phone, I have a friend of mine from Illinois that I said I was going to be interviewing. His name is Terry. I cannot give you his last name, but we're going to talk, Terry, about your time over in Berlin with the Berlin Wall collapsing. Hopefully the camera will pick up your voice. I have him on the phone. So, Terry, can you tell us briefly what brought you to Berlin?
I had gone up and looked at Checkpoint Charlie, which was a communist checkpoint between East and West Berlin.
Okay. So, were you there like on vacation, or?
No, well, yeah, kind of, sort of. I was there like on vacation.
Okay.
There wasn't nothing official.
Oh, okay. All right. So how many people would you say were there?
I would say thousands.
Thousands? Okay. And I presume that the atmosphere was very celebratory and that type of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what was your experience like witnessing that event?
I just wanted to get a piece of the Berlin Wall.
And were you able to do that?
Yeah, I was. I got 2 big pieces of it.
Oh, well,
and
that's...
one of the pieces still has writing on it.
Oh, that's cool. So where's that at now?
That I have.
You have in your possession?
I have in my possession.
Okay, well, that's cool. It's too bad that we can't do a video chat that we can show that, but yeah, that really helps us out. So, so that was your time in Berlin. How long were you over there?
Maybe a day.
A day?
Yeah.
How long do you think it? How long do you think it took you to or how long did it take them to tear the whole wall down?
I wasn't there for the whole, so my assumption would probably be a few days.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because it was kind of big.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. And then, as I told my fams here, I'll hopefully be able to put a link to the actual video that they took over at the Berlin Wall for that. So, yeah. So thanks, Terry, for giving us that information about the Berlin Wall, and we'll come back to you a little bit later and talk about Desert Storm.
Fine.
Okay. Okay, so that was a very interesting conversation we had, wasn't it? So, I guess I stopped it a little too soon. Anyway, going on with this Berlin Wall thing, in the spring of 1990, the liberal political actors wrested the governments of Poland, Bulgaria, Romania, Czechoslovakia, which at that time it wasn't broken up into the Czech Republic and Slovakia, Lithuania, and Romania from communism. In 2021, I did separate research on this, there are only 5 communist countries remaining. That's as of 2021. And those 5 countries would be China, Cuba, Laos, North Korea, and Vietnam. Link to video below in description, which I already talked about. I guess I didn't read ahead, did I? Okay, so going forward, November 17th, the Fair Labor Standards Amendments. By April 1991, the minimum wage will go up to $4.25 an hour. So those of you that are complaining that you don't make enough money, that wasn't that long ago. That was 89. So what was that, like 30 years ago? That the minimum wage was going up to $4.25 an hour. November 21st, the new anti-drug law. Silver Star died on my floor.
I'm so tired.
She's tired. She died behind the camera. November 21st, the new anti-drug law. It provides $3 billion for programs, which includes treatment centers, federal prison expansion, education, and law enforcement. Now, I did my own research on this because it reminded me of the DARE program. And that started in Los Angeles and ran from 1983 to 2009. So the DARE program no longer exists, apparently. I thought it still did, but apparently it does not.
I see people wearing DARE shirts at work.
Well, they're probably old then, because I looked it up and it said it ended in 2009. December 2nd, Bush meets with Gorbachev. Bush and the Soviet President, Mikhail Gorbachev, meet for the first time in Valletta, Malta. They discuss nuclear disarmament and strengthen trade relations between both nations. This effectively ends the Cold War. December 20th, the Panama invasion. American armed forces capture the military dictator Manuel Antonio Noriega, not to be confused with Lin-Manuel. He was indicted on...
Why would you even say that?
Huh?
Why would you even say that?
Because his first name was Manuel. He was indicted on drug trafficking charges, and he surrendered on January 3rd of 1990, convicted on April 9th of 92, and he was sent to prison. He died on May 29th of 2017. So I was wrong when I was telling my parents that. 1990, June 1st, Arms Reduction Agreement. It stipulates between the U.S. and the USSR that they scrap 25 and 40% of nuclear stockpiles. Now, I'm guessing the way that it was written on this website, that 25% was from the U.S. and 40% was from the USSR. It didn't indicate that, but the way that they had it written, that's how I read it. So, if I'm wrong, please leave your comment below. June 26th, new taxes are proposed. Now, during President Bush's campaign, senior, in 1988, Bush said, "Read my lips, no tax hike." This shows he reneged on that promise by stating in order to solve the deficit, it may be necessary to increase taxes in 1991. July 26th, Americans with Disability Act. This affects 43 million plus Americans, and it forbids discrimination for employment, public accommodations, and transportation. So that wasn't even that long ago. August 2nd, Iraq invades Kuwait. Get ready to pause the video again, but it'll be a little bit. Bush strongly condemns the act, and America later responds. So that was the start of what was going to become the Gulf War. October 3rd, German states reunite. So 7 months after the East Germans approve reunification, two states are reunited, although it did not indicate which two states those were. I didn't know Germany had states, but apparently they did. They do. October 22nd, the Civil Rights Act was vetoed. The bill states it would introduce the destructive force of quotas into our nation's employment system. November 5th, the budget law was signed. It intends to reduce the federal budget by $500 billion over 5 years. It includes $140 billion in new taxes. So I guess with the whole tax thing, you can blame Bush for most of it, or Bush Sr. anyway. November 8th, U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. Bush increases the number of troops to 400,000. November 15th, the Clean Air Act. This is something you probably enjoy. It tightens air pollution standards and reduces urban smog, cut acid rain pollution by half, and eliminate industrial emissions of toxic chemicals by the end of the 20th century. You're an environmentalist, so that's when that happened.
Yay. Score one for Mother Nature.
So Bush didn't do everything wrong. All right, November 19th, the CFE Treaty, or the Conventional Forces in Europe. It was signed by the U.S., Canada, and 20 European countries, although it didn't mention which ones those were, and I did not look that up. It limits NATO and Warsaw Pact weapons holdings, and it caps the American troop presence in Central Europe at 195,000. November 29th, Immigration Act of 1990. Most extensive revision in more than a half century. It allows 700,000 aliens into the country per year. Now that doesn't include those from Mars. We're talking, people from other countries. Immigrants, we call them today. 1991. Get ready. January 16th, the Persian Gulf War begins. It was called Operation Desert Storm, and it starts with airstrikes. 500,000 U.S. troops were involved by air, land, and some from water. So at this point, we are now going to stop the video, and I'm going to do the second half of the interview with my friend Terry. Okay, so we're back talking to Terry, and as I just mentioned about Desert Storm, we're going to talk to Terry about a little bit about his involvement, a little bit about Desert Storm. He can't get into too many details. So Terry, when did you get there, either Kuwait or Iraq? Can you tell us that?
We got there, I want to say, I know it was summertime because it was like 130 outside.
So it was summertime?
It was like September.
So
September of like 91. Or September of 90.
Okay, because I was going to say, I thought that...
It was September of 90.
Of 90, okay. So you got there before Desert Storm actually started then?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, all right. So how long were you there?
About 8 months.
Wow, that was a long time. Okay. So were the people there happy that you were there, or that we'd become involved?
Some of them were. Some of them weren't too crazy,
But for the most part, people were happy that we were there?
the older ones, yes. The younger ones, no.
Oh, okay. All right. Is there anything else that you can tell us about your time over there, or no?
Not really.
Not really. Okay. All right. Well, I think I pretty much covered it in the key events here. So we'll get back to the video, and we'll talk more about what happened during Bush's time. So we'll be right back. Okay. So it was interesting to get the point of a soldier that was actually there. Now, obviously, I couldn't ask him everything because some things are still classified to this day. But it was interesting to hear from him again. So thank you, Terry, for that. February 24th, the ground troops begin operations. February 27th, ground offensive was called off. The U.S. liberated Kuwait quickly and moved into Iraq. and was met with Iraqi troops surrendering to us, thus ending the war. And I remember seeing videos on the evening news where we were walking through the desert, the U.S. troops were walking through the desert, and you would see these Iraqis come up out of the sand and holding their arms up and surrendering. Now, the sad part is with Saddam Hussein, or who I affectionately call Satan Insane, who now is dead, but we'll get into that in a future video. When he found out that those troops were being surrendering to us, he later, when the trade came back from the POWs or whatever, and we gave those people back to Iraq, he later had those people killed. He was a very, very, very bad man. July 10th, South African sanctions removal. Bush lifts the sanctions in South Africa, saying that ending apartheid was irreversible. July 31st, START I was signed. The Nuclear Arms Reduction Treaty was signed by Bush and Gorbachev in Moscow. Now, I did not look up what START 1 stood for, so I apologize. If you happen to know, please leave your comment below. October 15th, the Senate confirms Thomas. That would be Clarence Thomas, and he replaced the retiring Justice Thurgood Marshall for the Supreme Court. And I believe I've talked about Thurgood Marshall in past videos. He won the vote by 52 to 48. There was a focus on a sexual harassment claim by Anita F. Hill. November 21st, 1991. This is almost Sea Dog's birthday, so I was still pregnant with him at this time. Civil Rights Act. It makes it easier for employees to sue employers for discrimination. December 31st, Sea Dog has now been born. Not on that day, but between those two dates. Soviet Union dissolves. The USSR is officially ended on December 26th.
If anybody is confused about who Sea Dog is, it's my brother.
Yes. So if you are new to the channel, Sea Dog is my son. And he's been in some of my past videos as well. And I'm sure he'll be in my future videos. 1992, January 10th, unemployment rises. The Labor Department reports that unemployment rose to 7.1% in December. That was the highest mark in over 5 years. February 1st, Bush meets with Yeltsin. At Camp David, Bush meets with Russian President Boris Yeltsin, and they discuss the U.S.-Russian relations. I'm going to need another notebook because I'm running out of space.
We sell notebooks.
I know. February. I wish you could see her. She's so funny. February 18th, Bush wins the primary. In New Hampshire, he faces challenge from the media personality Patrick Buchanan. April 1st, the Soviet Union aid proposed. Bush says he plans to give $24 billion, is it $24 billion? I think so. $24 billion to help free markets reform and make the Soviet Union democratic, I think is what I meant to say, not demographic. I just spelled it wrong. It was late last night when I was writing all this out, so.
Well, that explains that.
Yeah. May 23rd, nuclear arms reduction agreements. The U.S. signs agreements with Russia, Belarus, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. June 12th, Bush attends the Earth Summit. It was held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. The U.S. will not sign the treaty designed to protect rare and endangered animals and plants. Silver Star, I'm surprised, is not giving me the evil eye right now.
I'm too tired.
U.S. does sign the Framework Convention on Climate Change to prevent further global warming. I'm sorry, what was that?
That's not your fault. Why would I be giving you the evil eye?
Because you'd be mad at Bush for doing that.
But that has nothing to do with you.
No, but you could give me the evil eye because you're mad at Bush.
Whatever, I don't care.
I really wish I had the camera on her. She's hiding under the blanket, and she looks up, and she like pokes her head up from the blanket, and then she covers herself back up. It's funny. Okay. June 16th, U.S.-Russian nuclear agreement. Bush and Yeltsin signed an agreement to reduce nuclear warheads to 3,000 to 3,500 by 2003. June 22nd, the Supplemental Appropriations Act was signed. It provides aid to inner cities, especially in Los Angeles, because of the Rodney King riots of April 1992.
What was the guy I was trying to remember the other day?
What?
We were having the discussion about, like, or maybe it wasn't with you. With Christian.
Go back to sleep.
Okay, good.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know about Rodney King, you of the younger generation, Rodney King was stopped for DUI on March 3rd of 91. He was beaten by several police officers. There was a poor video recording of the incident from a bystander from yards away, so it was very hard to see what was going on. Very, very grainy. Because remember, video cameras back then were a lot different and not as clear as they are today. The cops were acquitted, which resulted in the LA riots. And Rodney King died on June 17th, 2012.
Yeah, I remember having this conversation with you because you were talking about George Floyd. And I was trying to remember the one that was, like, super famous before then.
I don't know if you can understand her, but okay, go back to sleep. Okay. I told you this one would be a little bit more entertaining. July 3rd, Unemployment Compensation Amendments. It extends coverage for 26 weeks after the first 26 weeks of unemployment. So you could get up to a year of unemployment. The day prior to this, so July 2nd, the Labor Department unemployment has reached 7.8%, which is the highest since 1984. August 19th, Republicans nominate Bush for the second term, Quail as his VP. November 3rd, Clinton wins election. Now, what I've been finding interesting as I'm going through, if you remember for those of you that have been following this all along, from early on, they were starting in some of these presidents' terms of office, and when it came time for re-election, it would say who the running mate was and where the conventions were being held, the Republican and Democratic national conventions, and how, like, who won and all that statistics and everything. Nowadays, it's not doing that so much, at least not with some of these. So November 3rd, Clinton wins the election. Arkansas Governor Bill Clinton, Democrat, wins the election. Clinton won by 43% and 370 electoral votes. Bush had 38% and 168 electoral votes. And Ross Perot, for those of you that don't know, he was known for his big ears. I think he was the one that said that he planned on paying off the national debt out of his own money because he was pretty rich. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, leave a comment. Or if I'm right, leave a comment. He only had 19% of the votes and 19% and 0 electoral votes. He ran as an independent. November 9th, troops land in Somalia. The UN sponsored the Operation Restore Hope. Somalia was dealing with drought and violence. The UN's humanitarian goal was to give them food and medical aid. 1993, it should be okay because you've stopped it a few times. Yeah. 1993, January 20th, Bush leaves the White House and flies home to Houston, Texas. So, obviously, the next president is going to be the controversial one because we all know about Bill Clinton and his affair with Monica Lewinsky. But, obviously, I have nothing written down yet for him because I just got done with the Bush one, writing all that stuff down last night, even though I've been promising you that video for at least 2 months. So just to kind of catch you up a little bit, if you have been following me for a while, the video I uploaded yesterday really sucked because I realized after I uploaded the video, there was one clip I forgot to put in the final edited version of it until after I uploaded it to YouTube. So I will be taking that one down. I am currently converting it from my editing software back into my computer, and I will re-upload that video after I upload this one. Maybe. Yeah, I think I'll do it that way. I'll put this one up first, and then I'll re-upload that video because I'm converting it now, but then I can upload it to YouTube after I do this one. So that will include the end clip because there's a lot of information at the end of yesterday's video that I wanted to include that I failed to put that clip in because it was below the line where I had all my videos clips in. And in case you're wondering what kind of software I use, like I said, I'm very cheap, and so I use Wondershare Filmora video editing. And so I know different people use different editing softwares, but that's the one that I have chosen to use. And so, is it still going, Melanie?
It was only at like 9 minutes when I checked.
Well, it looks like it shut off.
Oh, you're still
Am
fine.
I still going? Okay.
You're at 12 minutes.
It's hard to tell from the front because it looks like the camera thing went back, but I'm good? Okay.
You're fine. It's
Sorry
still
about the mess
recording.
up here. Entertaining! So, and I don't think I didn't even go through my newspapers to find out if I had any newspapers from any of this, but I don't think I do. Most of my newspapers now are from more recent times. So, and of course, I don't know if I have the one from Columbine or not. I don't think I have the one from Columbine.
When exactly did that one happen?
I don't know. But anyway, Columbine will be included in the next video. Which incidentally was not the very first mass school shooting on U.S. soil.
But it was the most famous one.
It was the most recent one, which sparked all these newer ones. But we'll get into that in another video. So at this point, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for following me throughout this whole series. If you are new to this series, I encourage you to go back and watch some of my older ones. I started with Washington and have gone forward thanks to Lin-Manuel Miranda and Hamilton. So I hope to be doing another trip down memory lane video, maybe today, maybe not until later, but I gotta find out where those videos are at. I don't want to overload you guys too much, but in any case, thanks for joining me today. Thanks to Terry for the interviews. Thanks to Silver Star for being my camera person today. And we will see you guys on the next one. Bye. I'm a dork. I forgot to put my ending on there.
She forgot her
She
outro.
forgot until she just told me. So, with that, we're ending this now. My proper outro is, we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a sunny day. Bye.